what we are trying to do now is do the valve adjustment on this Husaberg. So this is the second Husaberg I got after I picked up my first Husaberg FX450. I really love this bike and the way it handles and the power and everything. So just wanted to add one more to the collection, and we picked this guy up. So unknown hours on the valves. We don't know if it needs adjustment. At least we want to check it. So I don't find a lot of videos online on how to just do valve clearance checks. So I figured I'll make a video and post it if someone's interested. So of course, first things first, we got to take the seat. This is a nice seat, concept seat that came with the bike. Next, I'm going to take out the air filter, and we're going to take out the gas tank. And once we get the gas tank out, I'm not sure if I have to take the coolant or drain the coolant or not, but typically what we are trying to do is get this valve cover off, and underneath it is the where we are to check the shims thickness and whatnot. Most likely I might have to take out the radiators, but we'll see when we get there. Okay, so first things first, we'll get this air filter out, and I think I've seen some videos where you gotta take these bolts out and the subframe kind of comes loose, and once you get the subframe out, then the fuel tank comes off very easily. Remove the gas tank, and it was not easy. Had to disconnect a couple of couplers and the fuel, and this whole wiring harness was keeping the gas tank pretty tight in there. It didn't want to come out, so I had to loosen these fuse boxes and whatnot around. So, but now it's out finally, which means we really need to clean this bike a bit, because some of these areas will never get pressure washed normally. So this is a good time to pressure wash everything. I am going to make a note of the TPS sensor voltage. Now that it's out, it's a good time to measure it and see where it's set at. And then this exposes the cover. So in order to get the cover out, there is this hose here. We'll remove that. It's like a breather hose nut, and we may need to remove this radiator, which means if that's the case, I got to drain the coolant. It's a pity because I just put fresh coolant in there, engine ice, but we'll try to catch it so we don't waste it. We'll reuse it. Okay, apart from that, everything's been checking out good. Alright, so I was able to get the valve cover out without removing the radiator, but I don't know if I would want to do that again. It was a lot more work, so I think the best way would be to remove the radiator and drain the coolant before that. This time I didn't want to do it, but I have a feeling when I start adjusting the valves, I may have to do it anyway, so I don't know, we'll see. I have our measurements. So the farthest exhaust, let's call it exhaust 1, okay, that's a 0.14. This one closer to the gear lever is 0.13. Let's call this 0.12 and 0.11. So it's definitely time for valve clearance adjustment, which means that we got to lock down the motor and take out the gear or the cam here, and then we should be able to flip these rockers, and then we should be able to take the shims out. Did the math. I think I need 2.75, 2.76, 77 and 79 millimeter shims. I could use a 2.8 instead of the 2.79, and so we could repurpose some of these shims. It's not a big deal. Or I could use 2.78. They're pretty close. 0.001 or 01 doesn't really make a big difference. So I'm gonna order the right shims, and when they come in, I'm gonna put this together. Shims out and measured them. So I just realized that I don't really need to take the cams out to get the shims. It's kind of weird because in this particular engine, the rocker arms can be removed by first removing these bolts, and that releases the pin this pin that's holding the rocker arm, and this is a rocker arm. Once you take the pin out, the rocker arm just comes off like that. So it's a pretty trick design. I really like it. This way I don't even have to change the cam timing. I don't have to worry about losing timing because you're not doing anything to do with cam timing. Of course, you want to time it kind of close to where you want it to be at top dead center, because that's the only way there's no stress on the rocker arms. But once you get it kind of close, in this case I got it perfect, then you could just slide the pin that goes into those holes, you know, like that, and then the rocker arm just comes off. So pretty neat design, and yeah, I'm really happy with how they've done it. Makes it a lot less stressful. So what we did is we removed these shims underneath, measured them, got the right shims, and put them in. Put those rocker arms, and once you install the rocker arms, there are the two rods that slide through the rocker arms from that side, and install those as well. So we're talking about those holes, and there's rods inside. Those keep the rocker arms in place. Now we can put those caps, torque them, and we can put the cover. Before that, I want to spin the engine a couple of times manually, make sure everything's free. Put the cover back on, change the spark plug, put the fuel tank and everything, and try and fire the bike up. And then if everything's working good, then we'll try to bolt everything together, and that should be it. Now, while I had this open, I was also curious about my other Husaberg, so I ended up checking the clearances on that, and of course the exhaust side needed adjustment, so we also did the same kind of work for this bike. So yeah, that's about it. So we put everything back together, the head, tank, all the fuel connections, and the air filter back. Definitely needs to be cleaned, but I just want to start it now and see. Put the radiator brace, and this one has a radiator fan. I took it off the other Husaberg because this is the one that's going to do all the gnarly terrain. So we're gonna start it and see. So I did spin it over a few times, so there's oil circulation and fuel should be primed. There you go. Not smoking, no funny noises, that's very important. No grinding noises or anything at all. Let's inspect the valve clearance noise. Not bad, not at all. So the reason I'm looking for valve clearance noise is because I set the exhaust cam and the intake cam clearances to the upper end, so it's on the loose end. So it might make more noise, but it's not going to need a valve clearance adjustment in a while, so it's going to be okay.